Welcome to the Expect Success Podcast, a presentation of GeorgeBalek.com with your host, George Balek. This podcast is for all things personal development. Don't expect success, prepare for it. Please welcome your host, George Balek.
Welcome to Expect Success at GeorgeBalek.com. Now, in addition to listening to our podcast, you could also view the video format on YouTube at GeorgeTube.com. John Maxwell is an American author, speaker, and pastor who's written numerous books regarding personal development. His books have sold millions of copies, with some on a New York Times bestseller list. In May of 2014, Maxwell was named the #1 leadership and management expert in the world by Inc. Now today, John is going to share with us the best way to personally develop yourself in 2020 and beyond. Listen to John.
I would like to talk to you a minute with Maxwell today on developing yourself, growing yourself. Because really what I am is I'm in the people development business. Pretty much I walk into people's life, find out where they are, and then through serving and adding value to them, hopefully help them get better. That's what I do. I'm glad you're with me on A Minute with Maxwell, because in about a minute, I can give you a thought or two that would help you to develop yourself, because I think most people would like to get better. In fact, if you really don't want to get better, you can just turn Minute with Maxwell off, because this is what Minute with Maxwell is all about, helping you get better. What we have to understand about developing ourselves and getting better is that it doesn't take brilliance, and it doesn't take a lot of time, and it doesn't even take a lot of effort, but it must be intentional. That's the word I want to implant in your mind for a moment. The fact that you don't get better automatically, you only get better because you intentionally make a decision to get better. And here's my word for you today on Minute with Maxwell. Here's how this works. You have to go from being a person of good intentions to a person of good actions. That's the great separator. To develop yourself, you've got to get out of the intending world and get into the doing world. In fact, your good intentions are good intentions, but they're worthless. Totally worthless. The most overrated phrase in the world is good intentions. I know all kinds of people, they have good intentions, but they never do good because they didn't act upon what they knew. So if you want to develop yourself and you want to get better, just act on what you've already expressed that you want to do. The moment you quit talking about it and start doing it, now you've got something. I had a friend named Randy one time who came to me and said, John, your talk talks and your walk talks, but your walk talks a lot louder than your talk talks. That's true. Become a person of action today.
That's awesome. Now, for more about John Maxwell, simply search YouTube. And be sure to visit his website, johnmaxwell.com. My favorite John Maxwell book, and the one I recommend reading, is How Successful People Think. It's available at John's website or Amazon.com. And I'll be sure to leave a link in the show notes. And remember, as the late great Jim Rohn used to say, you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. Today I've been hanging out with John Maxwell. Keep up the momentum. Subscribe to our newsletter so you never miss another episode. We'll catch you on the next show, and thanks a million for listening. See ya.
Thanks so much for listening to this episode of the Expect Success Podcast with your host, George Balek. If you enjoyed today's podcast, please rate, subscribe, and review. And find more great content online at GeorgeBalek.com and on Facebook and Twitter at George Balek. We'll catch you next time. And remember, don't just expect success, prepare for it.